After losing 10 consecutive games in honor of kings, I met a great player in the game. I deliberately changed my ID to cream candy. No man can resist it. Sure enough, after 3 games, the great player sent a message, "Can you turn on the microphone? It's convenient for communication." Seeing the big fish take the bait, I was so excited that I quickly put on the newly bought sound card. It's still a cute and soft lowly voice. I can turn it on. It's just that someone once scolded me for my overly sweet voice. I'm afraid it will affect you. Big brother. The great player typed, "It's okay. Keep it on. Your voice is quite nice." Sure enough, with the blessing of the lowly voice, the great player played even more bravely, until he got a pentakill in the whole game. I took the opportunity to get straight to the point. "You're so amazing. Big brother, do you have a CP? Can you take me with you?" I don't know if I asked too impatiently. The great player fell silent. Seeing that the situation was not right, I quickly added another sentence. "It's just a nominal CP. Don't misunderstand. Big brother, playing hard to get always makes men unable to resist." Sure enough, 1 minute later, I received the great player's concise reply. "Okay." In the following half-month, we had a sweet double Q and dominated the canyon. Until one night, my roommate Carter angrily threw the basketball into the dormitory. "William, stop playing. Our school of computer science has been bullied." I turned off the microphone in the game and looked up from the fierce battle in the canyon. "What's wrong? Did you eat dynamite?" "What else?" That David from the Physical Education Institute snatched the training venue we had reserved again. David is the captain of the basketball team in the Physical Education Institute. Since I blocked his shot in the last inter-college game, that guy has been frantically snatching our venues. Coincidentally, the teacher in charge of the basketball court is from the Physical Education Institute, and the venues are always given priority to them. But rather than saying David is targeting our college, it's more like he's targeting me. I confessed my love to a junior sister last week. He drove a big G and stopped beside me, then threw a bunch of contraceptives out of the car. Laughing lasciviously, he said, "William, that girl last time said 3 weren't enough for one night. You see, these should be enough. When shall we do it together again?" After he finished speaking, I stared at him in disbelief. I just cursed. "Damn it, are you crazy?" When I turned around, I saw the junior sister looking at me with a complicated expression. There were clearly 3 words written on her blushing little face. "Yuri, so dirty." "No. You listen to me to explain." Before I could finish, a slap landed on my face without hesitation. The junior sister ran away in anger. I picked up the bunch of things on the ground and angrily threw them into his car, saying, "Keep them for yourself." David picked up the stuff and whistled at me, saying, "Sure. Next time together." The big G roared past, kicking up dust. That night, I walked alone and dejectedly on the school path, mourning my lost first love. Thinking of what David had done, the Yaoi I was controlling in the game instantly became restless. I leaped over the great player's head and was just about to make a big move. The next second, I was pressed under the tower and killed by the opponent, with my sacrificial playstyle. We lost the game spectacularly. After the game ended, the great player sent me a message. "Is your playstyle just now really that of a girl?" Oh no. Seeing that the other party had started to suspect, I thought about finding a female internet photo to send to him. As soon as I opened the photo album, my eyes fell on David's cross-dressing photo. That was a photo of him cosplaying a female character at the campus cosplay event last year after losing a bet. At that time, it was posted on the campus forum with the slogan, "Amazing A University." An evil thought popped up. I smiled slyly and sent that sexy cosplay photo over. Then typed sinisterly, "Brother, this is me." In order to humiliate David, I specially added one more sentence. "Is it nice? I'm super flirty." However, just a few seconds after that photo was sent, the great player disconnected. Could it be that the scoundrel David is so ugly that he scared the person away? It shouldn't be. Although he is a little uglier than me, his face still looks decent. Just as I was wondering, Carter walked in from the balcony after answering a phone call, looking solemn. Before I could say a word, He suddenly looked up. William, just now. Someone from the Physical Education Institute sent a challenge letter, saying that they want to have a match tomorrow. The bet is the right to use the basketball court for the next 2 months. Do you think they are crazy? I don't know if the Physical Education Institute is crazy, but David definitely has some problems. When I wrapped in a long-sleeve tracksuit and arrived at the court, he was dunking on the court in a sleeveless vest. In the cold wind, the exposed biceps had smooth and wild lines, looking extremely showy. Seeing the cries of the fangirls beside the court getting louder and louder, I got extremely angry. Better die than live in cowardice. Taking off my coat, I lifted the hem of my jersey, endured the cold and showed my abs, then slowly walked onto the court. Sure enough, the next second there was a burst of cheering from the side of the court. David turned his head and looked at me, with the corners of his mouth raised. But I inexplicably felt a chill. He threw the ball at me and smiled frivolously. Captain Duan, long time no see. Damn it. Was it a ghost that scared away my cute junior sister last week? Yeah, it's only been a few days, and you've become even more showy. David. After I finished speaking, David suddenly darkened his face and glanced at me. Not bad. Not as hot as you. In this game, our two schools played evenly. In the later stage of the game, I began to run out of energy. Turning my head, I saw that this kid David was still running the whole court. He really had good stamina. Seeing that there was less than a minute left, I rushed over with all my might to steal the ball from him. I thought it would take some effort, but unexpectedly, this kid David just threw the ball over. After catching the ball, I was stunned for a moment. However, time was pressing and I couldn't care about matters of dignity. In the last 3 seconds, I made a 3-point shot. Our School of Computer Science won. I rushed up to him in a rage and blocked his way. David. What do you mean? David glanced at me nonchalantly and said in a casual tone, it doesn't mean anything. I just want to save some energy. This perfunctory explanation made me burst into laughter. If you really can't stand me, have the guts to fight me in the boxing gym outside the school. Is it fun to insult people like this? Seeing his nonchalant look, I really couldn't hold it back and grabbed his collar. Save energy? What for? Could it be that you're still thinking about sleeping with a girl tonight? After I said that, David's eyes paused for a moment. As our eyes met, he pressed the hand that was grabbing his collar and pried my fingers off one by one. Somehow, I seemed to detect a hint of a smile in his eyes. If you insist on thinking so, then so be it. Me. This blatant act of letting the other team win made me so angry that I ran several more laps on the playground. By the time I got to the public bathroom, the peak bathing time had passed and there was no one in the bathroom, with the hot water gushing down from above. The angrier I got, the more I thought about it. Just as I was about to lift the shower curtain to get dressed, bang! The door of the public bathroom closed. Faintly, there seemed to be footsteps approaching me. I held my breath and my heart became inexplicably vigilant. It wasn't until the sound of water came from the next cubicle that I let out a breath and walked out wrapped in a towel. However, the moment I stepped out of the cubicle, the sound of water stopped. Before I could react, a tall figure rushed towards me and pushed me to the ground. A puff of warm air came from behind. Just as I was about to get up, suddenly there was a dull pain in my waist. A knee pressed against my waist, pinning my hands behind my back to the ground. Immediately, I was in so much pain that I broke into a cold sweat. I gasped for breath and roared, "Damn it! Who are you?" Cream Candy. Does this ID sound familiar? A familiar voice came into my ears. David? I don't know how he knew my game ID, but thinking about the thing of sending the photo that day, I nervously swallowed my saliva and said, What Cream Candy are you talking about? Then I heard him chuckling behind me. Really? William, you're something. You pretended to be a girl to deceive me into an online relationship and even sent out my photo. Right? He punched the ground beside my ear and gritted his teeth. Didn't you ask me if that photo was nice? You'll soon find out that not only is my face good looking, but the parts you can't see are even better. It's David. The great master I was in an online relationship with turned out to be David. and I actually sent the cross-dressing photo to the original owner. Seeing the situation was going in the direction of murder and dismemberment, I instantly panicked and struggled desperately. Damn it, who knew it was you? If I'd known it was you, I wouldn't have even bothered to flirt with you. Come on. That photo of yours was all over the forum. It's not a big deal for me to send it out. Right? Brother, it's all a misunderstanding. Can I go up and unbind our relationship now? Can I apologize to you? Please let me go first. I rambled on, but David clearly got impatient. Just when I was about to say something else. Slap. A heavy slap landed on my butt. The air fell silent. I froze for a moment, after realizing something was wrong. Goosebumps rose all over my body. Meanwhile, I noticed that something behind my waist began to gradually become indescribable. A low, sinister laugh rang in my ears. Be quiet for me. I'll make you feel good tonight. A drop of cold sweat slid down from my temple, and the tactile sensation was terrifyingly clear. Just as David grabbed the bath towel around my waist, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I forcefully turned around and punched him in the face. There was a dull thud as my fist hit his teeth. I used quite a bit of force in this punch. David was beaten back several steps by me. There was blood oozing from the corner of his mouth, but he still had that annoying smile on his face. Oh, you really hit me hard. He gave a soft snort, pushed his tongue against his cheek, and spat out a mouthful of blood. If I weren't afraid of you hurting your own wrist, do you think you could have landed that punch? Great. These words made my fist clench even tighter. You're deliberately trying to disgust me, right? Fine. I put on my coat and pants, pointed at the tip of his nose, and threw down a harsh warning. At the Thunderbolt boxing gym outside the school tomorrow night. Whoever doesn't come is a coward. That night, I lay in my quilt, even though there was an electric blanket under me. Whenever I thought of what David had said, a chill ran down my back. I clearly remembered that last semester, someone on the forum secretly took pictures of him dating the school beauty Olivia. How could this guy possibly like men? That's right. This guy must be deliberately trying to disgust me in order to get revenge on me. After all, in the game, what he liked was me when I was disguised as a girl. In other words, his sexual orientation is still towards women. Having figured this out, I felt much calmer and drifted off to sleep in a daze. It wasn't until the next day that I was kicked awake by Carter. Are you looking for death? I yanked the quilt off and was about to start scolding. Then I met his panicked expression. William, it's not me who wants to die now. It's you who are going to die. How was it between you and David last night? Seeing his increasingly indescribable look in his eyes, I suddenly realized something and grabbed my phone to log in to the school forum. On the forum, the photo of me being pinned to the bathroom floor by David was prominently placed on the front page, and the replies below had gone crazy. No wonder William has never had a girlfriend. It turns out he likes men, but David was with Olivia before. Has he been turned gay? But I can't imagine who's the dominant one. Sister above. It's obvious you haven't watched enough pure love stuff. Clearly David is on top and William is on the bottom. Their physical strength is so different. Seriously, these replies are unbearable. Just one glance made me furious. What do you mean by different physical strength? What do you mean by him on top and me on the bottom? If I hadn't been so tired from playing basketball last night, could that bastard David have pinned me down? Thinking of this, suddenly a tube of ointment appeared in my sight. Looking up, I saw Carter looking at me with full sympathy, and the empathy in his eyes was terrifyingly strong. He poked me and said carefully, William, I understand you. Here, Ma-ing long. Damn it. A man's bloodlust was aroused in an instant. A gentleman can be killed but not humiliated. The next second, I furiously tapped on my phone and replied on the forum. Tonight at 7 o'clock, at the Thunderbolt boxing gym, I'll have a decisive battle with David. Everyone is welcome to come and watch. However, facts have proven that I still underestimated the influence of being the campus heartthrob. When I stepped onto the ring that night, I only then realized that the spectator stands below were densely packed with people. David stood across from me wearing black shorts and black boxing gloves, but there was no sign of fighting spirit on his face. Really going to fight? He gave me a bitter smile. Stop talking nonsense. I curled my fist and beckoned him. Then I heard him sigh casually, but I can't bring myself to fight you. What should I do? Sure enough, as soon as he said this, the fangirls below instantly erupted into hysterical screams. The next moment, the cheering of get together came one after another, drowning out the boxing gym. David raised his eyebrows at me and smiled charmingly. I just couldn't hold it in any longer. Without waiting for the referee to blow the whistle, I clenched my boxing gloves and rushed forward, punching that guy hard in the stomach. The boxing glove hit his firm abdominal muscles, and he let out a muffled groan. But of course David wasn't someone who would just stand there and take a beating. We exchanged blows and got entangled with each other. I don't know where I kicked, but his face turned green. Can you stop going too far? Stop going too far? I spat and locked his throat. Who's going to stop? When you pretended to be gay to disgust me last night. Why didn't you stop? David's face turned red from being locked by me, but he still forced out a sentence through his teeth. Who? Who told you I was pretending? After he said that, I froze for a moment. The next second, I saw him give a sly smile. Then he flipped over and pinned me to the ground, in the exact same restraining position as last night, with him pressing on the acupuncture points on my waist so hard that it hurt. I gritted my teeth in anger and roared. I don't care if you're really like this or just pretending. Find whoever you want, but leave me alone. I'm straight. Oh, really? He let out a soft laugh and increased the force with his hands. How about we make a bet? Let's bet on it. He paused for a moment and leaned close to my ear. Before the end of this semester, I'll definitely sleep with you. What do you say? Me. In the end, David stole the show in this boxing match. As soon as I walked out of the boxing gym dejectedly, Carter and the others dragged me to a bar. Amid the deafening music, I huddled in a corner of the booth, drinking gloomily. In my opinion, William, don't be too sad. I just found out that David is the champion of the last municipal boxing championship. It's normal that you couldn't beat him. I gave the speaking buddy a sidelong glance and said nothing. I was the one who challenged him to this boxing match. But now it turned out so badly. It would be embarrassing to tell others. Not only did I lose, but tonight I was also harassed by that dog David while being pinned to the ground. Just thinking that guy got in through the back door makes my whole body tingle. I can only numb myself with mouthfuls of alcohol. Getting a bit drunk. Someone asked, William, does David really like you? No wonder he suddenly let you score in the basketball game last night. It's so disgusting when you think about it. If they hadn't mentioned it, it would have been fine. But once they did, the anger I had been holding back for a long time flared up instantly. Stop talking. I'll prove to you right now that I'm a straight man. After saying that, my eyes glanced at a girl at the bar. She was all alone, clearly single, probably noticing me. The girl turned around and raised her eyebrows at me. An adult game of mutual understanding. I hooked my lips, opened a new bottle of wine, and got up to walk over. Before I could even start a conversation, suddenly, an arm was placed on each of my left and right shoulders. Looking back, I saw two men with fierce looks on their faces standing behind me, and their arms were tattooed. The girl who had just been making eyes at me suddenly looked terrified and hid behind one of the men, pointing at me and saying, "Brother, it's him." He harassed me, sensing that something was wrong. Just as I was about to leave, my wrist was grabbed and bent behind my back. I let out a pained groan. And then I heard the big guy speak. "You want to leave after bullying my sister? Kid, this matter can't be settled without 5,000 yuan today. Under normal circumstances, it's not certain who would win or lose, but I was exhausted from the boxing match just now, and now I was like a helpless chick at their mercy. After struggling to no avail, I forced a smile and said, "No, big brother, I didn't even touch her. You're asking for 5,000 yuan right away. Isn't this the wrong price for a honey trap these days?" I don't know if it was the mention of honey trap that angered him. I saw the big brother raise his fist and swing it at me. I instinctively closed my eyes and turned my head. However, the expected pain didn't come. Opening my eyes, I saw a big hand holding that fist, right in front of my eyes. The red beads on the wrist were so familiar that it made me panic. David's flamboyant voice came from beside my ear. "Brother, did you ask me before touching my man?" David and his group were probably here to celebrate their victory in the boxing match. A dozen guys with the build of physical education students were standing there, exuding a terrifying sense of oppression. Seeing this, the two big brothers were stunned. They didn't even utter a single threat and just scurried away muttering, "It's a misunderstanding." I lifted my eyelids and glanced at David's arrogant face and laughed out of anger. "Your man? Go to hell. Don't disgust me here." Just as I finished scolding, unexpectedly, I stumbled and fell forward. My palm pressed against a hard chest, and I instinctively grabbed it. The next second, I felt David stiffen all over. Meanwhile, the surroundings became as quiet as a chicken. Countless shocked looks were cast at me, which sobered up my alcohol-addled head a bit. Reflexively, I bounced out of David's arms and swore a bunch of obscenities using all the swear words I knew. Before he could react, I turned around and rushed to the men's restroom. In front of the sink, I kept splashing cold water on my face, but I couldn't stop thinking about the feeling of that pectoral muscle just now. It's crazy. Everyone's gone crazy. I slapped myself hard twice. Just as I turned around, a hand grabbed my wrist and pushed me against the wall. After seeing the person clearly, "David, you," before I could utter the abusive words, they were all blocked back into my mouth. I was stunned for a moment. Taking advantage of this moment, David pried open my lips and his soft tongue slipped in. The air in my mouth was gradually taken away, with a bit of rudeness and a bit of toughness. I was left with a blank mind by this wild kiss. It wasn't until he bit a cut on my lip that I came to my senses in pain and kneed him hard in the groin. After a stifled groan of pain, he squatted down in pain. "Watch where you're aiming. Watch your ass. Do you think I'll spare you?" After saying that, I was about to kick him when I thought of something and hesitated, then reluctantly took back my foot. "Fine. Considering you helped me today, I'll just pretend I was bitten by a dog. I'm warning you. If there's a next time, I'll definitely kill you." I don't know if it was the effect of my warning, but during the following week, David didn't show up in front of me again. I logged into the game and sent an unbinding application. Staring at the avatar with the ID Y on the other side, I always felt something strange in my heart. On the weekend, I really couldn't hold it back. While playing basketball, I casually asked a classmate from the sports department about David's recent situation. That classmate passed the ball to me. "Huh? Don't you know? David is in the hospital. It seems he was robbed and stabbed by someone." I was stunned for a moment. "Robbed?" "Yes. I heard it was done by two tattooed guys. They failed to extort money from David, so they pulled out their knives. You know the background of the Yi family. Those two guys were arrested that night. Fortunately, David didn't get hurt in a vital part, but he'll probably have to stay at home lying down for the next few weeks." That night, I dominated the game, but the two tattooed men always lingered in my mind. He just offended those two hooligans, and then he got stabbed. How could there be such a coincidence in the world? I threw my phone on the table. The more I thought about it, the more annoyed I got. Whether the bastard David lives or dies has nothing to do with me. If he has to blame someone, he can only blame my good upbringing. I just can't stand seeing others suffer for me. Thinking of this, I sent a text message to David. "Are you still alive? When will you be discharged from the hospital?" Seeing that there was no response, I simply called him, but his phone was turned off. The next day, when I stood at the door of the ward with a fruit basket in my hand, I didn't understand what had gotten into me. But since I'm already here, I pushed the door open and saw David with his upper body bare, his back turned to me. A young nurse beside him was blushing as she helped him untie the bandage. It seemed they were changing the dressing. This show-off has so many romantic encounters even when he's in the hospital. It's a pity he's not a gigolo. Thinking like this, I blurted out, "It seems I came at a bad time." "David, you go on. I'll leave first." David turned his head to look at me. The surprise in his eyes flashed by, and then he smiled and said, "You can leave, but leave the fruit basket behind." Who made me so rebellious? Hearing this, I suddenly didn't want to leave. putting down the fruit basket. I walked around in front of him and saw the knife wound clearly. It was a full 10 centimeters long. The skin and flesh had been sutured and scabbed, but the oozing blood and pustules were still terrifying to look at. My throat suddenly tightened. I pretended to be relaxed and said, "Is this all it takes to be hospitalized? If I had come a little later, the wound would have healed, right?" David was both angry and amused. "Fine. Next time you try getting stabbed, let's see how you I don't know if the nurse girl was too shy and didn't know how to handle it properly." David's facial features were distorted in pain. Damn it. The next second, I directly took the bandage from her hand and blurted out, "Let me do it." Probably due to the occupational habit of being the basketball team captain, I was used to helping the team members bandage their wounds before. It's just that when the person to be bandaged this time was David, the atmosphere was still a bit strange for some reason. But I have to say, this kid David is extremely good looking and has a loyal personality. He would be a good candidate to be a brother, but unfortunately, he got in through the back door. Thinking of this, I applied more force and he gasped in pain. "Damn it, William. I took this knife for you. Don't be so harsh." "Okay." Seeing him sweating on his forehead and turning pale, lit from the pain. And it didn't seem like he was faking it. I swallowed nervously. After quickly changing the dressing, I stood up and said, "Don't worry. This time, I owe you a favor. Let's write off all the old scores. I'll repay you for this favor." "Really?" David curled his lips pale-faced and asked, "How are you going to pay me back?" "I'll pay you back however you want. But let's make it clear first. I won't do those crazy things in your head." Seeing him shaking his head and smiling without saying a word, I couldn't hold back and said, "I'm saying, you're a decent guy. Even the school belle can go on a date with you. Do you really have to do that? Actually, we can be considered to have gotten to know each other through a fight. If you didn't have those perverted thoughts, we might still be able to be brothers." After saying that, David fell silent. After a long while, he stood up with a pained expression. I took 2 steps back. Just as I was wondering what he was going to do, he gave a soft laugh and reached out his hand to me. "Sorry, I was too hasty before. After all, this kind of thing has to be based on mutual consent. But Olivia and I are not what you think. We are just ordinary friends. Don't worry. If you're not interested, from now on, we'll just be brothers." David is really a man of action. That night when I logged into the game, the couple relationship had already been unbound. A strange feeling welled up in my heart. Before I could adjust myself, the next second, a new relationship application came in. But this time, it was a brother relationship marked in blue. I went into the room and played a few more rounds with him. I definitely couldn't play Yaoi, so I could only play hard support heroes like Mo. Due to lack of operational proficiency, I lost terribly in those rounds. After losing several rounds in a row, David simply turned on the microphone and said, "Let's not play tonight. It's too tiring to take those anti-inflammatory drugs." "Okay, I'll be discharged from the hospital next Friday. It just happens to be my birthday. Those friends around me insist on throwing me a birthday party. As a brother, come along." Strangely enough, when I heard the word brother, I frowned subconsciously. It felt like something was stuck in my throat. Finally, I just said one word, "Okay." The birthday party was set at a private membership-only karaoke bar in the city center. Many bottles of fine wine were opened that night. David's father is one of the donors to the school library, so this level of consumption is normal. It was not until the male escorts entered the room that I suddenly understood why this karaoke bar was so hidden. The reason is simple. The people accompanying the guests for drinking are not the commonly seen women, but men. Seeing a man with delicate makeup squeezing towards me, I was just about to refuse. David spoke up. "Sorry, buddy. He doesn't participate in this." The young man snorted and walked away in a huff. As for David, he was being served the whole time by the guy named David beside him and was all smiles, serving drinks, feeding fruit platters, singing along. It's only one step away from performing a live erotic show. The more I watched, the angrier I got. I never expected David's taste to have become so bad that he would even take a fancy to such a sissy with skinny arms and legs. Just thinking that he had once lusted after me and apparently regarded me as the same kind of person as this sissy made me even more irritated. Just when that man put his arm around David's waist, I couldn't hold it in anymore and slammed my wine glass down on the glass table. There was quite a commotion. David frowned and looked over. "What's wrong?" "I'm sleepy. I'll leave first." The private rooms in this kind of business karaoke always come with several small rooms. David picked up his wine glass and pointed to one of the doors. "Go and rest over there." "No need." Just as I stood up. The next second, I saw David covering the wound on his stomach with a distorted expression. "Me." I cursed under my breath and turned around to push open the door of that small room. The sound insulation effect of the room was quite good, coupled with the alcohol going to my head. I fell asleep soon. I don't know how much time had passed when there came the sound of someone being pushed and the impact on the main door. Just as I stood up, the door was pushed open the next moment. David was blushing from drinking and stumbled in drunkenly. It was that David who was supporting him. Seeing me, David seemed to suddenly remember something. He apologized a few words and then helped the other person away. "Brother Yi, this isn't the right room. There's someone in this one. Let's go to another one." Seeing David so drunk out of his mind, if he falls into this man's hands, who knows who will be the one getting played? There seemed to be a nameless anger pent up in my chest. Just as they were about to go out, I quickly stepped forward and grabbed David's hand. "What are you doing?" David turned around in confusion. I gritted my teeth and said, "You can leave." "But he stay." "Who are you? Didn't brother you say you're not into this?" This time I really couldn't hold it in anymore. "I'm your father. Get out." David ran away with red-rimmed eyes. And David slumped directly on my shoulder with his head tilted. He was so heavy that it made me furious. I picked him up and threw him, directly tossing him onto the bed, probably because the movement was too rough. David groaned a few times, covering his stomach. He looked up at me with bleary, drunken eyes and asked, "Where's David?" "David, I don't care if you like men, but aren't you being too desperate? Do you really have to degrade yourself like this?" After I finished speaking, David turned over and lay on his back, laughing tremulously. "So what? He has good kissing skills. You don't. William, was that your first kiss last time? No wonder it was like a dog gnawing on a bone. I'm saying, with your skills, don't scare all the girls away in the future." It felt as if I were about to crush my alveolar roots. I stepped forward, grabbed his collar, and stared at him menacingly, seeing his mouth keep blabbing and sneering. He really deserved a good beating. My head went hot. I grabbed his neck and took a hard bite. David flinched backward in pain and stared at me in full shock. Having been accustomed to his arrogant and domineering appearance, his surprised look now is quite novel. A crazy idea rushed into my mind. I raised my eyebrows with a smirk and said, "Didn't you say my kissing skills are poor? Do you want to give it a try? Who says that if you're bitten by a dog, you can't bite back? I'm just going to bite back." I don't remember how long that mutual kissing lasted. At first, I was holding a grudge and determined to subdue him with my kisses. Later, in the hazy atmosphere of alcohol, David flipped me over and pinned me down, just like in the previous boxing and basketball matches. Neither of us was willing to yield to the other, nor could we overwhelm the other side. All I remember is that after the excitement wore off, I looked at the drunk David lying on the bed and kicked the mattress angrily a few times. The next day when I was studying in the library, I still couldn't believe it. I, a straight guy, actually kissed David. I've always been very competitive. It must be my damned pride that's at play. Just as I took a deep breath, an English CET 6 vocabulary book was placed on the opposite table. David sat down calmly across from me, as if nothing had happened yesterday. "Good morning." I looked down at my watch and sneered. "It's 11 o'clock now." "Good morning." David gave a snort and handed me a bottle of milk. "You were so drunk last night. It's already good that you could get up at this time. By the way, how did you get back yesterday?" I squinted my eyes. After thinking of a possibility, I asked tentatively, "Did you black out last night?" "Not really. David paused and said, I only remember you going into the private room to rest. But somehow, I woke up lying inside. Do you know what happened? Damn it. He really chose a good place to black out. So all the efforts I made yesterday were in vain. Gritting my teeth, I threw the bottle of milk back. I don't know. This time, it was David's turn to be stunned. I can't stay in this library for a single moment longer. I got up, took the book, and snorted at him. Whether you do it or not is none of my business. Those days, I seemed to have been implanted with extreme irritability. So much so that one day in the Mao Zedong thought class, Carter leaned over to me and whispered, William, are you having your uncle's visit recently? Your mother's. I picked up the book on the desk and was about to throw it backward when suddenly there was a commotion at the classroom door. I saw the school bell. Olivia, standing at the classroom door, looking all dressed up, as if waiting for someone. Wow, it's really the school bell. Seeing Carter's eyes almost glued to her, I glanced at her and said, Scheming woman. Scheming woman? Carter was puzzled and asked, William, did the school bell offend you? A drop of cold sweat slid down my forehead, and I nervously swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Coincidentally, Carter's words hit the minds of all men. But the question is, why do I think Olivia is a scheming woman? Could it be that subconsciously, I'm just like that bastard David? Someone who takes shortcuts? Impossible. I clearly liked the junior female student before. Thinking of this, I calmly said to Carter, Jiao, touch me. After I finished speaking, Carter looked at me in horror. No. Master Duan, isn't this a bit inappropriate? Stop talking nonsense. I grabbed his hand and forced it onto my abs, even through the clothes. A wave of unbearable nausea welled up. The next second, the two of us squatted down and retched in unison. It seems that my straight man nature hasn't changed. But the problem is, I feel nauseous just by touching Carter. Why didn't I have this feeling when I kissed David like that the other day? With this puzzling question in mind, as soon as I walked out of the classroom after class, a pair of slender and fair legs blocked my way. Looking up, I saw Olivia standing in front of me, smiling sweetly. William, is it convenient to have a chat? Speak quickly if you have something to say, and fart quickly if you have one. I'm in a hurry to play basketball. In the coffee shop, I slumped back on the sofa. Upon hearing this, Olivia frowned. Play basketball? With David? When she said this, I seemed to know what she was here for and laughed self-deprecatingly. Tell me first, is it with David? Seeing Olivia looking so nervous, I sneered, so what if it is? And so what if it isn't? Miss Chun, the school beauty, can't you control your man? Why are you coming to me? After I said that, Olivia immediately got excited. That's because, after stammering for a moment, she said in disbelief on the forum, everyone says that he likes you. After she finished speaking, I frowned subconsciously. Seeing that I didn't say a word, Olivia raised her voice. Give up this idea. Andrew has said that David can only date women, and our two families have a deep-seated relationship. He can only choose me. I really never thought that there would be a day when I'd be regarded as a mistress by a woman. But rather than clarifying that I'm a straight man, I'd rather return the disgust to whoever disgusts me. I sneered and stared at her firmly, saying, well said. He can only be with a woman. But I'm really curious. With David's backdoor trick, can he get aroused when he's with you? Probably not used to dealing with such a straightforward and crude mistress. Olivia was stunned for a moment and immediately welled up with tears. Just as I was about to continue, the coffee shop door was pushed open forcefully. David strode over angrily, not even catching his breath. I glanced at him and said, Sorry, David. I made your girlfriend cry. David glared at the tearful campus bell and simply said, Get out. It wasn't until the campus bell left that he lowered his head like a pupil standing in punishment and said, It's my fault. Sorry. I was too lazy to deal with him. As I got up and was about to leave, someone grabbed my wrist. Different from the previous times when he was drunk. This time I truly realized that I didn't find David's touch disgusting at all. I felt even more annoyed for no reason. Just as I was about to shake him off, David stammered, William, did I kiss you forcefully again last night? God knows how embarrassing it is for a grown man to be accused of forceful kissing in terms of self-esteem. I cursed inwardly and instinctively corrected his statement. I'll only say this once. Last night. It was me. I kissed you forcefully. Got it? After I said that, David was stunned for a moment and then suddenly smiled. So what you've always cared about is this? He coughed lightly and looked at me seriously, saying, actually, I don't really care about who takes the initiative. If you really mind, I can be passive. After hearing that, I was completely stunned. What does it mean? David means that he can let me take advantage of him? A very novel thought emerged in my mind. Just thinking that David, such an arrogant person, would also plead with me. I actually felt a little excited for no reason. Just thinking that he would be like a woman in the future, always thinking about me and having his emotions affected by me. It seems that I can accept it. This is what you said. I raised my eyebrows and looked at him, trying hard to suppress my smile. Then I saw him nod his head, looking rather submissive. Okay, you decide the time and place. Let's give it a try. The Sports Institute is going out to participate in the city competition for a month. During this period, I deliberately went to the gym to work out my muscles like crazy. Until David came back a month later and invited me to his apartment in the residential area where he lives alone. As soon as I entered the door, a strong force pushed me against the shoe cabinet. David grabbed my neck and without saying a word, he kissed me forcefully. Perhaps because of the competition, I clearly felt that his body had become much more muscular than a month ago. There was a faint fragrance of laundry detergent on David's body. Unlike those guys who sprayed perfume, this actually made me look at him more favorably. After kissing for a while, I felt something was off. I grabbed his shoulders and rolled over, and our positions were suddenly reversed. I stared at him, swallowed hard and said, "This is right. Remember it from now on." David curled his lips and gave a soft His cheeks seemed to turn a little red. Seeing his provocative look, I scolded him angrily. My lower abdomen was uncomfortably swollen. I dragged him into the bedroom and threw him onto the bed, then fumbled to open the small plastic box. Next second, a small square packet that had been open landed in front of me. Seeing David doing what I was about to do next, I asked in confusion, "You need it too?" I had no experience in this area, so I could only discuss it with him. David raised his eyebrows and glanced at me. The mischief in his eyes was the same as when we first met. A faint sense of unease crept into my mind. Just as I was lowering my head to open the package, someone gave me a hard push from behind. In an extremely familiar position and with extremely familiar operations, I was pinned down on the bed by him and couldn't move. After realizing what was going on, I was truly panicked this time and shouted, "Hey, David, you're going back on your word. You clearly said you could do it, eh?" "Do what?" David leaned over to my ear and his hot breath gushed out. "Didn't I make a bet with you that I'd definitely sleep with you this semester?" "Forgot." Hearing this, I hysterically cursed him for being shameless. It wasn't until a sharp pain came from my shoulder that I realized David had bitten me hard. "Calm down. I didn't deliberately deceive you. It's just that for people like us, the rule has always been to have a fight. The winner takes all, and the loser." After that, I felt as exhausted as if I had run a long-distance race. Several times I wanted to resist, but I just couldn't beat this guy. Not until I got up with a tired body the next morning did I do the first thing, which was to grab him by the neck. David woke up from his dream and was being choked by me until his face turned red. Seeing him looking like he was about to die, yet he didn't resist at all, I released my hand in boredom. I got up with difficulty and dressed myself. Before leaving, I glanced back at him and sneered, "David, are you satisfied this time? Don't provoke me again in the future." After sleeping with David, I felt even more uncomfortable for no reason. Several times, when David came to find me downstairs of my dormitory, I refused to let him in. I don't know where he got the course schedule of our School of Computer Science. When I was having classes, he would sit at the back of the classroom and listen without disturbing me. After a few weeks, there were extremely unpleasant rumors on campus. Generally speaking, It was said that David was rich and kept me. As the rumors spread more and more, I couldn't hold it back and grabbed his collar. David, this matter is caused by you. You'd better handle it by yourself. Okay. I made it very clear last time. Don't provoke me. David paused for a moment and forced a smile. Sorry. I can't do it. Hearing this, I burst out laughing immediately. What? Do you want to try again after tasting the sweetness? All right. If you're the bottom one, I'll try with you again. But young Master Yi, like you should never lack men. William, you know that's not what I mean. David choked with sobs. I'm not playing around. Can't we be like normal couples? I know it's a bit difficult for you. There are strange looks all around, but I'm used to it. I really like you. Being hit on what I was thinking. I was completely stunned. I always thought this guy just wanted to seek some excitement and never thought he would be serious. But how long can this kind of relationship that goes against the secular world last? Men understand men best. Feelings are one thing, and reality is another. In the end of this relationship, we'll just break up and go our separate ways. An unprecedented sense of powerlessness welled up in my heart. I patted him on the shoulder and said, David, I admit that I don't resist you. It's really exciting to play around like this once in a while. But for the two of us, let's just forget it. After that day, David really didn't come to bother me again. I heard from the people in the sports college that he used his connections to transfer to a municipal run school, but he didn't attend a single class and spent every day hanging around in bars, getting dead drunk. Until one night, an unfamiliar call came to my phone. After answering, there were noisy and panic sounds on the other end, mixed with the siren of an ambulance. Is this William? We're at the hospital now. David got into a fight with someone and his head was split open. Can you come over? After hanging up the phone, I stared at the unfinished code on the computer screen. I cursed under my breath, picked up my coat and went out. When I rushed to the hospital, David had already finished all the examinations and was bandaged up. Seeing me appear, he suddenly sat up from the hospital bed, looking a bit embarrassed. Sorry to trouble you to come here in the middle of the night. I found the grandson who spread the rumor on the forum that I was keeping you. I gave him a good lesson tonight. His tone really left me speechless. Give him a lesson? And then you got your head bashed in? David, I took a deep breath and said earnestly, do you know what you're doing? Transferring departments is one thing, but not attending classes. Just ask yourself, even if the Yi family has a lot of wealth, can you handle it in this half-dead state? David lowered his eyes and said nothing. I got angry just looking at his listless appearance. I stepped forward and grabbed his arm. We're both men. You're not willing to let it go, right? Fine. Sleep with me one more time. Will you then be able to live like a normal person? After I finished speaking, David's eyes darkened for a moment. After a few seconds of silence, he laughed self-deprecatingly. Do you think I want to? Do you think I don't want to forget? But I've opened all the most expensive and strongest wines, yet I just can't forget. What do you want me to do? Tell me what to do. Probably because he roared too excitedly. The next second, David pounded his temples frantically, with a splitting headache. I've never seen him like this before. In the past, he was a favored son of heaven, surrounded by admiration, and so ostentatious that he was annoying. But now, he's like an abandoned stray dog. My fists gradually tightened. These days, I always can't help but inquire about his news. Staying awake all night every night makes me look like a joke. Isn't it just selling one's body? Seize the day when life is good. As for the future, we'll figure it out later. Taking a deep breath, I smiled at him. Then don't forget. David stopped what he was doing and looked up in disbelief. What? I said, if you can't forget, then don't. I leaned down to his level and curled my lips. But this time, you're on the bottom. Facts have proved that even if David is no longer in the Sports Institute, I still can't beat him. Even though he's so stubborn with his words, his body is still very honest in the end. Strangely enough, when we used to be secretive, all kinds of rumors spread on campus. Now that we're walking together openly, all the voices have disappeared. 1 month later, David surprisingly moved back to the dormitory. when I asked him the reason. He stammered and wouldn't say. Until one day when he was very tired. I pressed him onto the sofa. He slapped the sofa and shouted, "Fine. Can't I just tell you? My mom knows about us. She stopped all my cards and taken back the house and everything. Now I'm just a penniless man. No wonder. No wonder I haven't seen David driving his big G for several days." I reluctantly let go of my hand and said nothing. The next second, David jumped up from the sofa. "What should I do? You won't stop being with me just because I'm poor, will you?" I subconsciously frowned and asked rhetorically, "Do you mind not having money very much?" "Not really. It's just that I'm used to living a lavish life and I'm not used to it all of a sudden." I raised my eyebrows at him indifferently. "All right. Don't worry. You won't be poor. As a result." The next day, before I had time to show David the evidence to prove that we wouldn't be poor in the future, I was blocked downstairs of the dormitory after class. The woman was about 40 or 50 years old. She was wearing gorgeous clothes and there was a luxury car parked behind her. Without even thinking, I could guess who she was. Sure enough, in the most upscale restaurant in the city center, the woman took off her sunglasses and came straight to the point. "I won't beat around the bush. I'm David's mother, Nora. I know that my son has an abnormal sexual orientation, but the Yi family still needs an heir after all. I heard from the school teacher that this child, study hard and get a scholarship every year, but you usually dress simply. Everyone goes crazy when they're young. It's just that David is used to living like a young master. He won't be happy with you. I hope you can also figure it out and don't hold him back. If he insists on being with you, we will give all the Yi family's assets to his younger brother." Nora kept chattering. I was listening to her while being really sleepy. I don't know how long it had passed. When I saw that she was almost done talking, I lifted my eyelids and calmly replied, "He won't live a poor life." Probably not expecting this answer from me. Nora was stunned for a moment. "What do you mean? Do you know Henry?" After I finished speaking, Nora frowned. "Do you mean Henry? The one who is engaged in the new energy industry?" "More or less. He's not just involved in new energy now." I stood up, straightened my clothes, and waved to the restrained restaurant manager in the distance. Seeing this, the manager lowered his head and rushed over quickly. "Young Master Duan, cancel this lady's bill. And from now on, all the consumption of this lady and her friends here will be free of charge." After saying that, Nora looked shocked and was so embarrassed that she didn't know what to do. I gave a soft laugh and kindly explained, "I didn't elaborate just now. Henry is my father. It just so happens that this restaurant the lady chose belongs to our family." Before leaving, suddenly remembering something, I turned back. "By the way, our family is different from the Yi family. My father only has me as his son. So, even if he has a big fight with me and can't accept my relationship with David, the Duan family's business will eventually be passed on to me. See you later, Nora." In the presidential suite on the top floor of the Chengye Hotel, a 5-star hotel in the city center, David and I were sitting on the sofa in front of the French window, drinking red wine and having a great time in the game. The couple's game tags that we used to have were back again. After a round ended, David stopped his hand and asked me, "Why have you never told me that you're from the Duan family?" I shrugged and said, "You've never asked me either." Probably still finding it unbelievable. David put his arm around my shoulder and said, "But how could Henry's son have such a simple lifestyle?" It was okay not to mention it. Once it was mentioned, I instantly felt aggrieved. "I'm not afraid of you laughing at me. My mother thought that a son should be raised in a poor environment to become successful. So, before high school, I always thought our family was very poor, even after I knew the truth later. Some habits were hard to change. Coincidentally, that night was exactly my 20th birthday. David and I were having a great time drinking. I, who always thought cheesy words were disgusting, actually put my arm around his neck and said the word love for the first time. As we were getting intimate, night fell in the distance. In this city full of glitz and glamour, how many unrequited loves are buried every day? The glass of the French window banged as we bumped into it. I deeply understand that the path we're taking is one that the secular world can hardly accommodate. and it's more difficult than any other. This path is filled with discriminatory looks and moral criticism, and it even involves going against the norm. No one can imagine how difficult the future will be, but at least, our determination to walk hand in hand is stronger than anyone else's.